All right, guys, so this is Clint Docio with Mission City Worship in Production, and today I'm going to show you guys how to set up automated lyrics using the Multitracks Playback and MIDI cues, okay? So, one of the first things that's important to know when we're trying to make sure this is set up is to make sure that your Multitracks Playback and what you have going on in Propresenter are all on the same network. So I'm going to show you guys how we can make sure that is all on the same network. So when we do this, one of the first things we're going to do is go over to one of the apps that are on here. And this app that we'll see, and I'm going to show you, let me see here, take a look here with this. It's going to be the audio MIDI setup, okay? So we're going to click on this, and this will allow us to make sure that we're on the same network. So when we set this up, you're going to see we would click on Mission City iPad and connect. If this is not set up yet, one of the things that you'll need to do is go into the sessions here, get this set up, and then from there enable it, put your local name on what you want to call this. Also the bonjour name that's here, and then connect it, all right? So that's connected now. This iPad is also connected to the network, okay? So you always wanna make sure that's connected to the same network. All right, so once we do that, we're gonna get out of that audio MIDI setup. And once you do go to MIDI Studio, just remember, when you go in there, it came right up for us, but we want to go right over to this little globe sign that you see here. Okay, and we want to be able just to click on that, and that will really allow us to be able to get to where we want to go at that point. Okay, so once we click on that, that's what took us over to what we were looking at earlier. All right, so now that we're connected, we're going to go into Propresenter and just make sure that we're also connected in Propresenter. So we click in Propresenter, we go here to Propresenter, we're gonna go to Preferences, okay? When we go to Preferences, we're gonna go to General, click on General, and then here, we're gonna see where it says Devices, okay? That's what we wanna click on. When we click on that, when it's green, you know you are good, okay? So now this is gonna take us to the next step where we're gonna actually set this up where it's gonna automate. And what's going to actually happen is what we see in playback here is going to create cues as it goes through, and it's actually going to pull up the lyrics as we're able to sing. Now, how we do that, we can do that automatically. There was a time where you just had to. There was a time that you had to do this and do it manually. You don't have to do that. And so, one of the things that we can do here for this is we can go, for this song, we want to click on the song that we're going to be working with, and then we would just go rest our finger on this. Actually, it's not that one, always gets me. We rest it on the edit, and then there's MIDI cues, okay? So once we do that, that's how we would adjust it if we needed to manually do it, okay? Well, once we go here, we're going to actually press edit. We're going to go to the song itself. And once we're in this song, we're going to tell it all the way down at the bottom that we're going to use the cues here, okay? And now it's important to make sure how many lines that you're going to have is consistent to what you have over here in Propresenter. Or we want to make sure that it's consistent, or if you don't, your slides will be off. And so here we go, we're gonna go 2 lines, okay? And once we do that, we'll update it and watch what happens. You see the cues populate, okay? So we're gonna go over here to Waymaker, and we'll do the same thing for Waymaker. Here, go to user cues. All right, 2 lines each, update it. All right. And then we'll go to King of My Heart. We'll do the same thing here, okay? And then from here, 2 lines, update. All right. And then we'll go also here and we will update it. Okay. So once we do that, we're almost done. I did one line there accidentally. There we go. And so we update it and there we go. So now we got MIDI cues. So it will automate, but here is the thing. We need to make sure that in Propresenter, that this is set up to where this will pull up what playlist we're on in Propresenter, okay? So where I'm gonna take you with this is if we go back, there's a MIDI map that you can see, and it's actually the same place that I showed you before if you click on devices, okay? And if you go there, you go to click on MIDI map. The playlist, when we select a playlist, that's actually F-1, okay? And so all that means it's a little code, and I'll show you what that code stands for. And that's gonna tell us actually the select playlist is referring to this playlist here. Shortly, I'm gonna also show you the select playlist item, F#-1, and that's over here. And when we do this, the velocity level, and you're gonna see what I mean, is we're gonna have to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Wavemaker will be 4 here, okay? Actually, it's gonna be a little more than that because there's some more things before that. Okay, so now that we know that, okay, F-1 is the first thing that we wanna do because that's gonna tell us we wanna go to the second item on the list here. We're gonna go over here, like I just showed you earlier, and we are going to set our MIDI cue for we're gonna set our MIDI cue so that way it will select that playlist, okay? So the value that's here, you see, we're gonna go F-1, okay? So that's that value that we just talked about there. The velocity, it's the second one. It's the second one in the set list there, as you can see, okay? So it's the second one in the set list. We're gonna make it that, all right? All right, there we go. Okay, so you see it just populated there, all right? I don't know if you can see that. You can get the focus. But what you don't see, it says note F-1, 2, comma 2, all right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up a second little MIDI cue right after that, and that's gonna actually be
F#-1 should have been pressed here for the value.
Specific playlist over here, okay? We're gonna count down. So when I look at this, the first song, Even the Impossible, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6-1 on there. So that means the velocity over here is going to be 6. All right. So once we do that, done. We add it. All right. So that's set. Okay. So now we can test this out and see if it works. Okay. So over here, I'm just going to go ahead and X out of this. So as you can see, I'm not on any particular song in here yet, but if I play playback over here, it's on the same network, and so this was like in the church, be on the same network, and it would pull that in. And of course, our lyrics that we see on stage is right here. I always like to see and check to make sure it says stage screen 1, and that's always what I want. So that way we can see and make sure that we can see what the stage is seeing, okay? So from here, we're gonna go ahead and check this out. Here we go. So we're gonna press play. Here we go.
Intro.
All right, so one thing I'm gonna show you real quick. If this does not start at the very beginning, the MIDI cues will not hit. So I kind of started a little after the fact. So here we go, let's try it.
2. Intro. 2, 3, 4.
All right, there we go. So you can see it just went over to the song. And it's Even the Impossible. And we have our cues here. Something I'm gonna show you while that's happening. If we click on the song Even the Impossible arrangement, we wanna make sure it's on master. That way it'll jump onto the specific slide. If we are doing the slides manually, we'll wanna make sure that we click on full, because that will be the full song. And that way we can actually just click to the next very slide. Now, the tricky part with that is if we cut any verses out, we'll need to make sure we cut those verses out, or choruses out, or bridges out in the song itself. So that's why we go to master, because whatever we set and we ended up cutting a song last minute, or cutting a piece of the song or adding to it, the master will catch that, okay? So we got this set. We're gonna do one more, and then that'll conclude, and that way you can kind of see how we do that. So remember, so if we go to playback here, we're gonna go to Waymaker, okay? So Waymaker, first thing we gotta do is make sure it pulls it up in the playlist that's over here, the second one. So we're gonna go ahead and add that cue, all right? Okay, so it's F-1, velocity 2, because it's the second one in the playlist, as we were showing there. All right, over there, okay? So it's the second one in the playlist. We've added that in, okay. Next part, so we're gonna just go a little bit over, then we're gonna add in here, F sharp, -1, all right? So once we add that in, we're gonna count how far Waymaker is in. So if even the impossible was 6, 7, sorry, let me go over here. So if even the impossible was 6, all right, welcome is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. As you can see, every little line is counted, 11. All right, so velocity is 11 over here. All right, done, add it. Here we go. All right, let's check this out. Here we go. We're gonna start it from the beginning.
1, 2.
As you can see, it just moved it out here.
Intro. 2, 3, 4.
So as we go through, you see it'll automatically move over
Intro.
after the intro.
Verse 1.
All right, pretty cool. Okay, so when we do this, one of the things that we got to remember is, by the way, you will not be able to get to any of the edits unless you take the pad off. Okay, so we click done. As we can see here, we can save it to the cloud. If you're on a network that does not have Wi-Fi, it will not save, but you can still use it and make changes on a Sunday morning. It just, of course, won't save it for later on. Okay, so we're going to save that to the cloud. That's been updated. Okay, and that's how you do it. Okay, so that automated the lyrics for the first 2 songs. I'm going to continue to do the rest for the third and the fourth, and I hope that was helpful.